One drunken night, Anna Chun slept with me. Then, she became my wife. No matter how my family and I humiliated her, how we degraded her, she never got angry, always maintaining the facade of a meek and virtuous wife. But just as I started to fall for her, she hit me with divorce papers. The woman who was once so docile had become someone else entirely. In a flash, my world crumbled while hers was built. The gentle wife I had once freely scorned was now the one holding all the cards. My wife was, for all intents and purposes, a promise, a deal. She was the daughter from her father's first marriage, and ever since he remarried, he'd barely given her the time of day. My family, on the other hand, was the definition of new money royalty in Los Angeles. I was the prince, the apple of my parents' eye. So, to curry favor with us, her family had practically promised her to mine, since we were kids, a future bride to solidify an alliance. The problem was, I was in love with her sister, Chloe. So I'd always hated Anna, rejected her, and refused the idea of her being my future wife. But then came our college reunion. She got me drunk, and I woke up at her bed. The scandal was explosive all over the social media feeds of our elite circle. My father, his reputation on the line, had no choice but to force me to marry her. I was miserable. It was always supposed to be Chloe. Fueled by that bitterness, I made Anna's life hell. I made her sleep on the floor. She was never allowed in our bed. At dinner, my brother Mark and I would mock her relentlessly, telling her she wasn't worthy of the food on our table. When she thoughtfully brought me an umbrella during a sudden downpour at a gathering with friends, I chewed her out in front of everyone. I couldn't feel right unless I was putting her down, but the woman was bizarre, like she was missing the gene for anger. No matter how my family and I tormented her, she never broke, always wearing that same placid expression. To be fair, she was beautiful. But back in school, she was painfully shy, her grades were abysmal, and she was held back twice. She was the kind of person people whispered about with pity. Her sister, Chloe, was the opposite. Graceful, popular, straight-A student, and unanimously crowned the it girl of our high school. Thinking about how Anna had single-handedly extinguished the spark between Chloe and me, another wave of resentment washed over me. In the middle of the night, I got out of bed and kicked her awake on the floor. "I'm thirsty," I grunted. She scrambled up immediately to get me a glass of water. It was fall, and the air was getting crisp, so she'd thoughtfully made it warm. But the memory of the reunion, of her taking advantage of me, ignited a fire in my gut. I took the glass and threw the entire contents in her face. Even then, she didn't get angry. She just silently went to the bathroom to clean up. Watching her slender, silent back, I felt a flicker of guilt. But then I remembered she had ruined my life, and that guilt vanished. For 3 years, I tormented her like this. A lot can happen in 3 years. For instance, my family went bankrupt. For instance, I started to actually like her. And for instance, she asked me for a divorce. She handed me the papers, telling me the one that got away was back in her life. I have to admit it hurt. My chest felt tight, like a giant hand was squeezing my heart, and I couldn't breathe. But my pride, honed from a lifetime of being the golden boy, wouldn't let me show a hint of disappointment. I signed the papers with a crisp, steady hand. After I was done, her cool voice floated over. "Do you need me to have my driver take you home?" It took me a second to process. Right. The mansion I'd lived in for over 20 years wasn't mine anymore. My family was broke, all our assets liquidated. And her, the woman who'd schemed her way into marrying me, the woman my entire family had looked down on, had been quietly building her own company behind our backs. Now, she was a titan of industry, successful enough to buy this very mansion out from under us. I had no right to be angry, no right to demand a cent from her. She'd built this herself through years of quiet perseverance, without taking a single dollar from my family. She watched me, not rushing me. Her calmness, of all things, made me think of how I treated her, and I was flooded with a sense of shame. In this situation, with me at rock bottom and her at the top, she should have been making me pay for every last insult. But she wasn't. She was as composed as ever. "No, I'm good. I can get back on my own," I said quickly, turning and almost running for the door. Her voice followed me, even and light. "Was there something you came here for tonight?" "Nothing," I called back without turning, bolting out into the courtyard. It had started to rain. I clutched the gift in my hand. Today was our 3rd wedding anniversary. I'd never been kind to her, but after realizing my feelings had changed, I wanted to celebrate it with her, just this once. Instead, I got a divorce decree. I laughed, a bitter, self-mocking sound, and let the downpour soak me to the bone. The next day, I was sick, buried under the covers, and unable to get up. A commotion erupted outside. I dragged my weak body out to see my father sitting on the crumbling brick wall of our new, dilapidated apartment building, threatening to jump. We were living in a rundown complex in East LA now, a place that was dirty and loud, but had cheap rent. My mother was sobbing hysterically, screaming that if he jumped, she'd jump too. My head throbbing, I wanted to talk him down, telling him that bankruptcy wasn't the end, that as long as we were alive, there was hope. My father stared at me, his eyes burning with an intensity that made my stomach drop. "Go ask Anna for help," he said. "She's our daughter-in-law. She has to help us." My mom chimed in immediately. "Yes, we may not have treated her well, but for your sake, she'll lend a hand. Please, just go ask her." I gave a grim smile. They had no idea I'd already been dumped. I refused, but my dad threatened to jump again. Defeated, I finally agreed. Before I left, my mom used the last of our money to buy me a new outfit. It was a shirt that was ridiculously tight, clinging to every muscle in my chest and abdomen. I looked at myself in the mirror with a sneer. This wasn't the look of someone going to beg for help. It was the look of someone going to seduce their target. Not that it mattered. I could stand naked in front of Anna now, and she probably wouldn't even spare me a glance. I still couldn't figure it out. Why did she sleep with me at the reunion? Was she drunk too, mistaking me for her long-lost love? Shaking off the thoughts, I went through the motions for my parents' sake. I'd heard she was at her office, so I went straight there, dressed in my ridiculous getup. My parents waited downstairs, their faces full of hopeful expectation. It was a pathetic sight. When I reached her floor, I was met with a barrage of strange looks and whispers of mockery. I ignored them, straightened my back, and walked in her office. The moment I saw her, however, my courage failed me and my shoulders slumped. She was sitting in her chair, exuding an aura of power, a small smile playing on her lips as she watched me. Head down, I mumbled the reason for my visit. Her eyes hardened slightly. She smiled. "And why exactly should I help you?" Knowing it was a lost cause, I forced a laugh. "Right? Then, just pretend I was never here." Of course, after the way we treated her, the fact that she hadn't actively destroyed us was a miracle. How could I have the audacity to ask for her help? The thought made me cringe. I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. "Tell me, what are you offering in return? If I think it's worth it, maybe I'll consider helping." I froze, racking my brain. What could I possibly offer her? My body? Please. If she'd wanted me, she'd had 3 years of countless nights in the same house. She never once laid a finger on me. "Just forget I came," I mumbled, my head still bowed in shame. She suddenly walked toward me. She was tall. At 6 feet, I was only a head taller than her. She stood on her toes, her lips close to my ear as she whispered with a low laugh. "Dressed like that, why pretend to be so modest?" My blood ran cold. I was so mortified I wanted to disappear. She hooked an arm around my neck, her smile deepening. 3 years of marriage, and 3 years of sleeping on the floor. It's been a while since I've had a taste. Why don't you? Offer yourself. My eyes went wide. I thought I'd misheard. What? What did you say? Her gaze was intense, a deep ocean that made my heart race. She didn't speak, but her eyes dropped to my chest, her long, pale fingers tracing the outline of my pecs through the thin fabric. A jolt went through me, and I shoved her away. "If you won't help, then don't. I didn't expect you to, but you don't have to humiliate me like this." I snapped. Anna looked at me, an unreadable emotion. Was it anger? Amusement? In her eyes? "You think I'm humiliating you, aren't you?" The person she loved was someone else. What was this if not a cruel joke? She turned and sat back down in her executive chair. When she looked up again, her eyes were cold. "You dress the part, but your attitude is all wrong. Since you're not serious, you can leave." I had already figured she wouldn't help. I said nothing more and walked out. The moment I stepped out of the building, my parents rushed over. "Well, is she going to help us?" my dad asked eagerly. I shook my head. My dad exploded. "That ungrateful snake. She strikes it rich and turns her back on us. I never should have let you marry her. This is infuriating. My mom was just as furious. Exactly. She always acted so meek and obedient. Who knew she was such a backstabber? I sighed, exasperated. Let's not talk about her like that. She never used our connections or our money. How is she ungrateful? Honestly, after how we treated her, it makes perfect sense that she wouldn't help. My parents fell silent, their faces etched with misery. Looking at them just made my headache worse. That night, my brother Mark was on his phone, calling every one of his old buddies, hoping someone would throw us a lifeline. These were the same guys who would drop everything for a night out drinking with him before, but now, not a single one would even pick up. Mark smashed his phone in a rage, cursing them for being disloyal. I curled up under my blankets. Forget it, Mark, I told him. Loyalty is cheap in this town. My mom was crying in the corner. In our current state, a comeback was impossible. The immediate problem was the debt. Debt collectors were showing up almost daily, making it impossible to live a normal life. My dad tried again. Landon, why don't you go see Anna one more time? She's rich now. Loaning you a little money shouldn't be a problem, right? My mom added, That's right. Even if you're divorced, you're entitled to some of the assets, aren't you? I shrank further into my cocoon of blankets, not daring to tell them Anna had left me with nothing. They would have cursed her to the heavens. Mark cut in angrily. That's enough. Are you trying to send him back there to be humiliated? After how he treated her, asking Landon to beg her is just sending him to be tortured. My mom seemed to finally get it. She didn't humiliate you today, did she, Landon? She asked, her voice softer. No, of course not, I lied. She muttered to herself. I suppose you're right. Anna was always so timid, and she worshipped the ground you walked on. Even with us down on our luck, she loves you. She would never truly humiliate you. I managed a weak, hollow laugh and said nothing. My dad sighed heavily, looking toward the open, unsecured balcony. I just don't want to live anymore, he mumbled. The moment he said it, my mom started crying again. Their theatrics were giving me a migraine. The main thing was money. We had to pay back something, anything. A few days later, as soon as I felt better, I went out to find a job. Regular jobs paid too little too slowly. I knew that promoters at high-end clubs could make serious money. I used to tip them thousands on a good night out with my friends. I went to the club I used to frequent in West Hollywood. The manager recognized me and, out of some lingering respect for our past association, he hired me on the spot. He even assigned me to the VIP rooms where the big spenders were. The tips were always good there. But I never, ever expected to run into Anna. She had never set foot in a place like this, at least not during our 3 years of marriage. In fact, she used to hate it when I came here, even trying to stop me a few times, saying they were disreputable places. I would, of course, humiliate her until she left. Looking back, she really did play the part of the perfect, virtuous wife. And now, here she was, holding court in the center of the room, her long legs crossed, a cocktail glass in her hand, a half-smile on her lips. She looked intoxicatingly confident. It was all an act. Her meekness was a lie. She watched me silently, her superior posture making me feel small and ashamed. If I had known she was in this room, I would have never come in. Just as I was wishing the floor would swallow me whole, a few playful whistles cut through the room. My head snapped up, and I realized the people with Anna were the same leeches who used to follow me and Mark around. Well, what do you know? They were all kissing up to Anna now. They knew how I treated her. To suck up to her, they wouldn't miss a chance to humiliate me. My best bet was to get out. As I started to back out with my drink cart, try to look casual, a woman with sharp, painted features called out. Well, if it isn't the former prince of L.A., Landon Pierce. Anna's little boy toy. What are you doing here? Coming for a drink? Wait a minute. Why are you wearing a uniform? The room erupted in laughter. My hands tightened on the cart's handle. I took a deep breath. Fine. They'd already seen me. They were determined to humiliate me, and I couldn't escape. I might as well lean into it. Maybe I could actually get some tips out of them. The debt collectors were relentless. My dad was talking about ending his life. My mom was crying constantly, and my brother was driving for DoorDash day and night. What did I care about some abstract concepts like pride and dignity? I pushed the cart forward, forcing a stiff but polite smile. What a coincidence, I said. Since you're here, how about you give a guy some business? And if you have a good time, maybe throw a little tip my way. A woman I recognized as Tiffany scoffed, shaking her head. I remembered how she used to follow me and Mark around like a puppy, always calling us by our last names, fawning over us. Now that my family was ruined, her smug expression made me want to slap her. But this wasn't the time for pride. Money was the priority. I kept smiling and said nothing. Tiffany leaned in close, her voice dripping with schadenfreude. Look at this. Is this really the same Landon Pierce who thought he was better than everyone? It's only been a few months. Holdit your foot so far. Another round of laughter filled the room. Jessica, another one of the old crew, laughed loudly. You said you wanted our business. In a place like this, are you talking about selling your body? Huh. If so, we better strip down and let's check the goods first. We can't be paying for damaged merchandise. Now, can we? I gripped a bottle so tightly my knuckles turned white. I glanced at Anna. She was sipping her drink quietly, as if she couldn't hear their vile words. Or maybe she just didn't care. I looked down, placing the bottles on the table one by one. I smiled. You've misunderstood. I meant the drink business. For old time's sake, you could order for me. I get a bigger commission that way. Wow, you're really that desperate for cash, aren't you, Pierce? Tiffany said, slapping a credit card on the table. She looked at me like she was giving charity. There's $3,000 on this. Get on the floor and bark like a dog a few times, and it's all yours. How about it? The room exploded again with laughter and whistles. Everyone was watching me, their eyes gleaming with morbid curiosity. Even Anna was watching. Her face was calm, but her eyes were as deep and unreadable as ever. I didn't move. Jessica threw another card on the table. Here's 10 grand. Bark for us, and then let me and the girls have you for the night. It's all yours. I stared at Jessica in shock. My family was ruined. Yes, but I was still technically Anna's husband. She was sitting right there. How could Jessica dare to make such an offer? There was only one explanation. Anna had told them about the divorce. She must have told them how much she hated me. Otherwise, they would never have the guts to humiliate me like this in front of her. What's the matter? You need the money, don't you? Can't even let go of a little pride? Then what are you doing working here? Jessica sneered. We're offering a great price. If you were a male escort, how many clients would you have to service to make this much? She was right. I needed the money. Why was I still clinging to my useless pride? But letting go of pride didn't mean abandoning all self-respect. Looking at Jessica's lewd, contemptuous smile made me sick to my stomach. I picked up the card with the 10,000 and threw it back at her. You think 10 grand is enough to buy a night with me? Put up $1 million if you've got the guts. I said, my voice laced with intentional scorn. I knew Jessica. She didn't have much money of her own. She just hung around places like this trying to land a rich guy. She acted generous, but she was a notorious cheapskate. She used to sponge off me and Mark all the time and was too stingy to even buy her boy toys a decent outfit. For her to offer 10,000, she must have really hated my guts. It made me wonder, was I really that terrible of a person back then? Ha ha, Jessica, you're so cheap. He's still Landon Pierce, after all. How could you only offer 10 grand for a night? Someone in the group jeered. Jessica's face flushed beet red. She glared at me and sneered. 10,000 is more than he's worth. I ignored her and picked up Tiffany's card. $3,000, right? You were serious? I just have to bark a few times and it's mine? Tiffany froze, clearly not expecting me to call her bluff. She was as stingy as Jessica. That 3 grand was probably a painful sum for her. Landon, you're so proud and arrogant. You never bark like a dog in front of us. Stop joking, she said, reaching for the card. I pulled my hand back. I'm not joking, I said seriously. Barking isn't hard. A few sounds for 3 grand? Sounds like a good deal to me. Tiffany's face twisted in regret. She glared at the card in my hand, desperate to snatch it back. Jessica laughed gloatingly. Then get to it. Let's see the great Landon Pierce on the ground, begging for scraps like a dog. My former pride was gone. All I could see were the vicious faces of the debt collectors, the tear-streaked faces of my parents, my brother's exhausted expression after a long shift. I took a deep breath. Fine, I said, but just as I started to bend my knees, to kneel on the floor, a soft, delicate hand caught my elbow. I looked up, startled, and met Anna's deep gaze. My heart skipped a beat. All of you, get out. Anna said quietly. Her voice was soft, but it carried an authority that sent everyone scrambling for the door, terrified of angering her. As Tiffany left, she had the nerve to snatch the $3,000 card back from my hand. Pathetic. Anna's liquid eyes stared at me. You're really that desperate for money? I pulled my elbow from her grasp and put some distance between us. Isn't it obvious, Ms. Chun? Everyone in LA knew my family was drowning in debt after our fall from grace. There was no way she didn't know. Ms. Chun. Anna repeated the name, a playful tone in her voice, as if she were savoring the words. I didn't know what she was thinking, nor did I have the energy to play games with her. I pointed to the bottles on the table. Ms. Chun, these are the drinks you ordered. I've delivered them. If you're satisfied with my service, a tip would be appreciated. Anna just stared at me, her expression as unreadable as ever. The tip was just something I said. I didn't actually expect her to give me anything. I forced a smile and was about to leave when she spoke. I'll give you $10 million. I stopped dead in my tracks and turned to face her, incredulous. What did you say? Anna walked toward me, her eyes locking onto mine. I'll give you $10 million. You spend the night with me. My lip twitched. I wanted to scream, are you out of your mind? But she held all the power now. She wasn't the timid girl everyone could push around anymore. I swallowed the insult and forced a stiff smile. Ms. Chun, you have a great sense of humor. I have to get back to work. See you around. Jessica can, so why can't I? Anna's voice was low and tight with a hint of anger. I frowned. What are you talking about? What does Jessica have to do with anything? Earlier, you told Jessica that for $10 million, you'd spend the night with her. Now I'm offering $10 million, so why won't you spend the night with me? I almost rolled my eyes. I only said that because I knew Jessica would never be able to produce that kind of money. I was trying to provoke her. I couldn't believe Anna took it seriously. She stepped closer. She'd been drinking, and the intoxicating scent of whiskey mixed with her own light fragrance filled my senses. Your family needs money, don't they? One night with me, and $10 million is yours. What do you say? I clenched my fists at my sides. I knew what she was doing. She was using money to humiliate me. Fighting back the bitter sting in my throat, I sneered at her. So you're rich now, and that makes you better than everyone? Yes, my family desperately needs money, but I won't earn it like this. I turned and fled the room, tears already blurring my vision. Human emotions are strange. When my old friends humiliated me, I didn't feel this sad. But Anna's humiliation was different. Her words easily pricked my heart, causing a dense, sharp pain to spread through my chest. I ran all the way to the lobby and saw my brother, Mark, in his food delivery jacket, surrounded by Tiffany, Jessica, and their friends. They were mocking him. For a wad of cash, my brother was getting on his knees. In that instant, the last remnants of my pride and dignity shattered completely. I covered my mouth, tears streaming down my face. If my brother could do that to raise money, what right did I have to be so proud? Anna was offering $10 million just to endure her scorn for one night. What was I holding out for? I spun around and sprinted back upstairs, praying she hadn't left. I burst into the VIP room and saw her sitting on the sofa. It was like she knew I would be back. She was watching me with a faint smile. I walked up to her. You hate me, don't you, for all the years I humiliated you? I asked. Before she could answer, I continued, fine. As long as you pay off my family's debt, you can humiliate me however you want, for as long as you want. Anna looked down at the drink in her glass and asked with a small smile, even if it means being my secret lover? I took a deep breath. Yes. She had taken the role of husband away from me to give to her one that got away, and now she wanted me to be her dirty little secret. The humiliation couldn't be more blatant. The next day, my dad came home, ecstatic. Our debts are all paid off, he announced to me and my mom. My mom burst into tears of joy. What happened? How? It was Anna, my dad said. She paid for everything. She even arranged for us to move into a much nicer place. Instantly, my mom was singing Anna's praises, going on and on about how Anna must love me so much to help our family like this. I just smiled weakly. That afternoon, Anna's driver came to pick me up. My parents saw nothing wrong with it. They still thought I was Anna's husband and that she was taking me to live a life of luxury. They had no idea I was going to be her kept man, a toy for her amusement and revenge. Anna was now living in my family's old mansion. When I arrived, I finally met the man she called the one that got away. His name was Julian Thorne, and he was her childhood friend. He was movie star handsome, the perfect casting for a romantic ideal. He greeted me warmly, which surprised me. Wasn't he jealous or angry that Anna was bringing me here? I was given my old room. The setting was the same, but the circumstances were drastically different. A bitter taste filled my mouth, but I told myself it wasn't all bad. At least my family's debts were gone. My parents could live without fear, and my brother wouldn't have to break his back or kneel for cash anymore. I took a nap and was woken by a maid in the evening, calling me down for dinner. I stumbled downstairs, groggy, and sat at my usual spot at the dining table, waiting for someone to serve me. It was only when Anna and Julian stared at me with strange expressions that I remembered. Times had changed. I was no longer the privileged Landon Pierce who had everything handed to him. I quickly stood up, bowl in hand, and forced a smile at Anna. If you two don't want to eat with me, I can just take some food and eat somewhere else. Stay, Anna commanded as I was about to grab some food and run. Her voice was flat. Julian is sick and can't have alcohol. Go get him a glass of water. I blinked, then nodded quickly. Of course, right away. I promptly got Julian a glass of warm water. As I was about to retreat with my own bowl of food, she spoke again. Julian loves shrimp, but he finds peeling them a hassle. Peel some for him. Oh, okay. I had no choice but to sit down and meticulously peel shrimp for Julian Thorne. As I worked, I remembered how he used to do the same for me. I never appreciated it. I'd either throw the shrimp she peeled into the trash or give them to someone else. The memory brought another wave of bitterness. I tried to think of other things. This Julian guy seemed easy enough to get along with. If I got on his good side, maybe he wouldn't make my life here difficult. I had no idea how long Anna intended to keep me as her lover. When I asked her yesterday, she just said, until I get tired of it. Whatever. I was at my lowest, and she was at her peak. Her desire for revenge was probably at its strongest right now. In time, her resentment would fade, and she'd let me go. I was just cramping their style, getting in the way of their romantic bliss. I finished peeling the shrimp for Julian and even thoughtfully ladled a bowl of soup for him. Suddenly, Anna put down her chopsticks. I've lost my appetite, she said flatly, and went upstairs. I stared after her, confused. What's wrong with her? Julian just smirked. You really don't know? He asked, his tone meaningful. I shook my head, mystified. I didn't know anything. After 3 years of marriage, I had never been able to figure that woman out. Later that night, as I was about to go to sleep, Anna walked into my room. The blankets are in the closet, I said automatically. You can make your bed on the floor. The words were out before I could stop them. I scrambled out of bed. You take the bed. You sleep on the bed. I'll sleep on the floor. Habit is a terrifying thing. Even though she was my benefactor now, I still instinctively treated her like the disposable wife I could order around. I went to the closet to get a blanket, but the next second, I felt arms wrap around me from behind. I gasped as she pulled me, with surprising strength, onto the bed. I started to panic. We'd had sex before, but I was blackout drunk that time. Now, facing the raw heat in her eyes, completely sober, I didn't know where to put my hands. WW, what are you doing? I stammered. Go find Julian. You love him, don't you? A flash of anger crossed Anna's face. She roughly tore my shirt, ignoring my flustered protests as she. Beneath the shame and embarrassment, a traitorous pleasure bloomed. I couldn't stop a curse from escaping my lips. She suddenly hugged me tight, her voice a furious whisper. You want me to go to him that badly? In my mind, this was all part of her humiliation. Of course I wanted her to leave. Yes, go find your precious Julian. My answer was met with an even more ferocious response. Damn it, this woman was something else. She had pretended to be so pure and gentle, but she was really a vengeful wildcat. She had no technique. It actually kind of hurt. She tormented me until the middle of the night. As I was finally drifting off, exhausted, I thought I heard her whisper in my ear, you probably don't know, but I've been holding back for a very, very long time. Holding back what? Her hatred for me. Makes sense. 3 years of humiliation. Any other woman would have snapped long ago. It just proved she was destined for big things. Her mind was a fortress, and she knew how to bide her time. For several days, Anna came to my room to torment me. Though she wasn't as rough as that first night, I still couldn't accept being intimate with her. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was just her lover, and she had an official boyfriend living under the same roof. It all felt deeply wrong. One night, as her eyes softened and glazed over with passion, I tried to reason with her. If you keep doing this every day, aren't you afraid of hurting Julian? Anna stopped, looking down at me. Do you care about him? I laughed. Why would I care about him? He should be the one who cares about me. Look at you. You've been humiliating me, a once proud heir, by making me your secret lover for weeks. Your anger should be gone by now. I admit I was wrong in the past. Can't you be the bigger person and just let me go? If you scare Julian away, you'll regret it. For some reason, my words made her face darken, and a terrifying chill filled the air. Before I could ask what I'd said wrong, she started manhandling me again. I shut my mouth. I had learned a valuable lesson. With an unpredictable woman like this, the more you say, the more trouble you cause. It was best to just keep quiet. A few days later, Julian, who usually kept his distance, asked me to join him for afternoon tea by the pool. When I got there, he suddenly dove into the pool and started flailing, screaming for help. I was completely baffled by his behavior. His cries quickly brought the household staff and Anna running. Anna didn't even look at me. She dove straight into the pool and pulled him out, as Julian lay shivering in her arms, looking pitifully up at her and saying, "Don't blame Landon. I'm sure he didn't mean to do it." I finally understood. He was framing me. But why? He was the official boyfriend. I was just a disposable lover who could be kicked out at any moment. Why go to such lengths? It was like a scene from one of those trashy dramas I used to watch. Anna shot me a look as cold as ice. Explain yourself. According to the drama playbook, the more the hero tries to explain, the less the heroine believes him, and the hero ends up getting punished for his stubbornness. So I didn't explain. I just apologized sincerely. "I'm so sorry. It was an accident. I'll watch where I'm going next time. I won't trip him again." Julian looked at me with a flash of surprise, his eyes strange. Anna didn't spare me another glance. She had someone carry Julian inside, rushing as if her precious darling might catch a cold. I slowly squatted down, watching the ripples in the pool. It reminded me of the past. Right after we got married, I despised her. My brother and I ganged up on her and pushed her into this same pool to teach her a lesson. She screamed for help, saying she couldn't swim. Mark and I didn't believe her. We just sat on the edge, laughing. It wasn't until she actually sank to the bottom that I panicked and had someone pull her out. She was unconscious for 2 days. It scared the hell out of me. After that, I stuck to verbal abuse and never laid a hand on her again. But watching how expertly she dove in to rescue Julian just now, it was clear she could swim perfectly well. Wow, another act. She was willing to risk her life in that scheme just to make us back off. The woman's cunning was truly on another level. After this incident, I knew I had to talk to Julian. Otherwise, my life in this mansion would become unbearable. I went to find him, bringing a thermos of ginger tea I'd made myself. He was propped up in bed, looking weak, with Anna sitting by his side. Seeing Anna there, I put down the tea and smiled at her. "I made this myself. Ms. Chun, if you give it to him, it'll help him recover faster." Then I turned to Julian with a warm, friendly smile. "Mr. Thorne, I'll come back and check on you later." Julian stared at me, astonished, clearly not expecting my friendly demeanor. He shot a strange look at Anna. Not wanting to interrupt their time together, I started to leave. "You stay here and take care of him," Anna said coldly, before getting up and leaving the room herself. Perfect, I thought. This was my chance to clear the air with Julian. I sat down by the bed. "Mr. Thorne, are you feeling any better?" I asked solicitously. Julian looked at me in amazement. "I framed you. Aren't you angry?" "Puffed. Why would I be angry about that? You're a boyfriend. I'm the one who doesn't belong here. If anything, Anna's the jerk in this situation. We're both in the wrong. You're the innocent party." My words made Julian laugh, and the cold distance on his face softened into something more approachable. "Why do you see it that way?" he asked. "It's the truth, isn't it? I'm already divorced from her. You're her boyfriend now. But she's using me as her lover just to humiliate me, forcing me to be the third person in your relationship. Isn't that messed up? But don't worry, she's just trying to get back at me. Once she's had her fun, she'll let me go. So you really don't have to go to these lengths. It's not worth hurting yourself." Julian smiled. "You're an interesting guy. I didn't think any of it was funny. I was being completely serious. Mr. Thorne, you can't leave her because of me. If you do, she'll definitely blame me for it. Honestly, I don't want to be her lover at all. I'm just waiting for the day she says, I'm bored of you, get lost. Crash. The door was kicked open. Anna stood there, her face contorted with rage. I rolled my eyes. So, the woman had been eavesdropping outside the whole time. I guess when you hit the big time, you change. Before, she wouldn't even open a door loudly if she was upset. Now, she was kicking him down. Look at that poor door. A moment of silence for the door. Her eyes were cold daggers aimed at me. I fought the urge to cower, puffing out my chest and waiting expectantly for her to scream the word get lost. But all she said was, tomorrow is the Chun family dinner. You're coming with me. She turned and left. I looked at Julian, confused. Was she talking to me? Julian nodded. The news of your divorce isn't public yet. Of course, she has to bring you to her family's dinner. I'll go public with it right now, I said, not wanting her to misunderstand. I don't want to go to their family dinner. Julian chuckled. Don't bother. Now that you're broke, she's definitely taking you there to be humiliated. You should go. Oh, okay. He had a point. Now that I was down and out, everyone wanted to kick me. Especially the Chun family, who used to bow and scrape before mine. Though, to be fair, Anna was never important enough to be invited to their family gatherings back then. She was just the girl promised to my family. Now that she was successful, they were all sucking up to her. The Chin family estate was an old, sprawling property with several courtyards. I'd heard it, along with the family's original businesses, was passed down from Anna's great-grandfather, but it had declined by the time it got to her father's generation. The moment Anna and I arrived, the aunts and uncles swarmed us, quickly separating us. Through the crowd, I could hear them asking Anna when she was going to dump me, offering to introduce her to someone more gentle and considerate. I wondered if they knew about her and Julian. These family gatherings were always painfully dull. The conversation revolved around school, work, and relationships. Of course, my presence added a new, exciting topic. When they got bored, they could come over and humiliate me for entertainment. I became a wooden puppet, letting their insults wash over me. After I ate, I wandered out into the courtyard. Anna appeared behind me. Chloe is in the back garden, she said, a faint smirk on her face. I remember you used to be in love with her. Are you going to find her? I admit I used to have a massive crush on her sister, but now I felt nothing. It was impressive she remembered so clearly. Vengeful people never forget a thing. I was just taking a walk. I said, my face a blank mask. Or would you prefer I stay inside and get drowned in your relative's spit? I walked away, and she didn't follow. If I had known my stroll would lead me to see something I shouldn't have, I would have gladly stayed inside and faced the firing squad of gossiping relatives. From a small pool house ahead, I heard sounds. The kind of sounds you don't want to hear. I was about to tiptoe away when I heard a familiar voice. It sounded a lot like Julian. What was he doing here? Was the other person Anna? No, that was impossible. I'd just been talking to her. She couldn't have gotten over here that fast. Wait, did that mean Julian was cheating on Anna? But with who? Who in the Chin family was worth betraying Anna for? My curiosity got the better of me. I crept closer and peeked inside. The woman's back was to me, but the man holding her was definitely Julian. So, Anna was really being cheated on. I felt a pang of pity for her, but then I remembered she was also cheating on Julian with me every night. Actually, her cheating was more brazen. It was happening right under his nose. Thinking about it that way, she wasn't so pitiful after all. As my mind was racing, another voice came from inside. When are you going to steal the confidential files from her company and help me take her down? Damn, that voice was familiar. I stretched my neck for a better look. My jaw dropped. The woman was Chloe. The sister was sleeping with her own sister's boyfriend. In my shock, I lost my balance and stumbled forward, crashing right through the wooden door. Julian yelped, grabbing a towel to cover himself. Chloe quickly wrapped herself in a sheet and lunged at me. Before I could even get up, she had a small decorative knife pressed against my throat. Then she seemed to recognize me. Landon, she gasped. She looked just as gentle and lovely as I remembered, but after the last 3 years, her appearance did nothing for me. Panic flashed across Chloe's face. She let me go, stammering, Landon, it's not what it looks like. I didn't. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone, I swore, desperate to avoid getting involved. If I say a word about this, may I be struck by lightning. Chloe stared at me, her expression complicated. I couldn't tell if she believed me. I was more worried about Julian. We were living under the same roof. Now that I'd caught him, wouldn't he want to get rid of me? I glanced nervously at him. He was looking back at me, but his expression was calm. There was no panic, no fear of being exposed. I wondered if he trusted me that much. I soon realized my mistake. He didn't trust me. He just wasn't afraid of me telling. Back at the mansion, Julian came to find me. He told me that Anna had known about him and Chloe all along. My jaw nearly hit the floor. With Anna's vindictive personality, to know that her beloved boyfriend was sleeping with her sister and not do anything about it. She must really, truly love him. The thought made my heart ache again. What was I thinking? I was just a tool for her revenge, a plaything she could discard at any moment. Why was I feeling sorry for myself? I forced myself to get my priorities straight, and the ache in my chest subsided. That night, Anna came to my room again. She took a shower first, then emerged in a sexy nightgown. The neckline was low, leaving very little to the imagination. As I watched her walk toward me, my blood started to boil. This woman is a puzzle, I thought. Her personality is impossible to read, and she holds a grudge like no other, but damn, her body is incredible. Against my will, I was no longer just resisting or accepting this. I was starting to crave it. This was not a good sign. Eventually, she was going to kick me to the curb. If I fell for her personality and her body, how much would it hurt when she finally threw me away? As I was lost in thought, she leaned over me. She seemed annoyed that my mind was elsewhere. Thinking about Chloe, she purred. I blinked. How did she bring Chloe into this? Her face hardened with anger when she mentioned her sister's name. I get it now. She's still furious about Chloe and Julian, but she can't bring herself to punish Julian, so she's taking it all out on me. It also made me wonder, was the whole reason she brought me here to live with Julian, to sleep with me every night? Was it all to provoke him? Ouch! The vicious woman bit me. I wanted to scream at her, I'm not Julian. If you have a problem, go take out on him, but I didn't dare. She was too unpredictable. I was afraid she'd do something even more twisted to me. The next day, I slept until noon. When I woke up, Julian was in my room, watching me with a smile. I felt a pang of guilt and shame. I had spent the night with his girlfriend. I couldn't meet his eyes. You feel really bad right now, don't you? He asked with a soft laugh. I didn't know what to say. Even if I was just a tool for Anna to provoke him, I had still gotten between them after their divorce. I should have stayed far away, but I did it to pay off my family's debts. So, in a way, I had wronged him. I nodded. But don't worry, I added, Anna is yours in the end. I don't have any delusions. She's only sleeping with me to humiliate me and, well, to get a rise out of you. Julian looked at me with that strange expression again. I don't know if it was my imagination, but I'd never seen any hatred or malice in his eyes, just strangeness. After a moment, he asked, So, are you willing to help me get back together with Anna? Aren't you already together? I asked, surprised. At this, Julian sighed sadly. Anna and I were childhood sweethearts. We were in love. But one night at a party, I got drunk, and her sister Chloe, she slept with me. When Anna found out, she didn't blame me, but there's been a wall between us ever since. My eyes widened. This story, it was almost identical to mine and Anna's. A thought suddenly struck me. The reason Anna slept with me when I was drunk, was it because Chloe had done the same thing to her beloved Julian? Was this all just a twisted form of revenge? The more I thought about it, the more unsettled I felt. Julian looked miserable. If she doesn't blame you, you shouldn't dwell on it. I comforted him. As long as she loves you, that's all that matters. Julian shook his head. It's not that simple. Chloe filmed what happened. She's using it to blackmail me, forcing me to keep sleeping with her, even making me try to steal Anna's confidential files to use against her. I was stunned again. Could the gentle, kind girl I remembered really be so vile? Then what can I do to help? I asked. You should just tell Anna about the recording. Julian shook his head, looking devastated. I can't. I already feel so guilty for betraying her. If she knew there was a video, I could never face her again. But if you don't tell her, are you just going to let Chloe blackmail you forever? Chloe said if I help her get Anna's files, she'll give me the video. So, Julian paused, his eyes fixed on me. My stomach dropped as he said, Landon, you have to help me. Help me steal those files. How could I do that? I refused instantly. If you love Anna, you can't betray her again. Julian started to cry. I'm desperate, Landon. Please, just help me. I shook my head firmly. No, I can help you with anything else, but I can't do that. Besides, you're overestimating me. If you can't get them, how could I? She's sleeping with you every night now. You could take them while she's... No. I cut him off quickly, but he only started crying more pitifully. Just then, the door was pushed open and Anna appeared. I didn't make him cry. I said immediately. Julian wiped his tears. It's not his fault. I was just thinking about something sad. I nodded at Anna. You should comfort him. He's going through a lot. The moment the words left my mouth, Anna shot me a cold glare. Landon Pierce, you've hit rock bottom and you still can't behave yourself. My heart clenched. Did she think I was bullying Julian? Julian quickly defended me. Anna, it's really not his fault. It was me. You don't have to speak up for him, Anna said, gently patting Julian's back while her cold eyes remained fixed on me. I ignored the sour pang of hurt in my chest and said obediently, I won't do it again. I'll behave from now on. Anna frowned, but didn't say anything else. She just gave me one last deep look before leading Julian out of the room. I leaned back against the headboard and sighed. What was I going to do? I felt like I was falling more and more for Anna. I had to get out of here soon. If I fell any deeper, it would be impossible to get out. That afternoon, Chloe showed up. Worried she was here to cause trouble for Julian, I blocked her path. Mister, Thorne is with Anna right now. You should probably go. Chloe just smiled at me. I came to see you. When Chloe smiled, she was stunning. It was the kind of smile that made you feel like everything was right with the world. It was the reason I'd fallen for her all those years ago. But now, that smile did nothing for me. What do you want? I asked, my voice flat. Landon, she began, her gaze intense. I don't love Julian at all. I love you. Since her divorce from my sister now, we can be together. She reached for my hand. I flinched back, snatching my hand away and taking 2 steps back. Ms. Chun, please have some self-respect. Landon, what's wrong with you? You used to say you wanted to be my boyfriend. If my sister hadn't been so despicable, we would be together right now, she pleaded, stepping closer. I frowned and kept backing away. She suddenly threw her arms around my waist. Is it my sister? Is she threatening you? Forcing you? Don't be afraid. I'll protect you. Just help me get her confidential files, and I promise I can take her down. Then we can be happy together. Landon, I finally understood. That last part was her real goal. It seemed what Julian said was true. Suddenly, the woman in front of me seemed incredibly ugly. I was suddenly grateful that Anna had come between us all those years ago. Otherwise, I might have ended up with a person like this. I pushed her hands off me. Sorry, I said coldly. I'm not interested in you at all anymore. Chloe's face froze. How can that be? You were so in love with me. Is it because of Anna? Is it her? I ignored her questions and went back inside the house. Back in my room, I felt a wave of sympathy for Anna. Her own sister and the man she loved were both trying to destroy her, and she probably had no idea. How could I warn her that Julian was trying to steal her files? If I told her about the video blackmail, it would be a betrayal of Julian's trust. It was a shameful secret, and he'd told me because he trusted me. Just then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Julian begging me not to tell Anna about the video. I sighed, leaning back in my chair. How was I supposed to warn Anna to guard her secrets? That night, Anna came to my room again. She started things without a word. I wondered if she ever got tired of sleeping with me. I was still trying to figure out how to warn her. She suddenly wrapped her arms around my neck, her hot breath on my face. Thinking about Chloe again. You see her once, and she has you hooked. How did you know I saw her today? Wait a minute. She wasn't home when Chloe came. There was only one possibility. My brow furrowed. You're spying on me. Anna turned her head away and scoffed. It's not spying. There are security cameras all over the property. Didn't you know? But why would you be watching the security footage? Because I feel like it. What are you going to do about it? Her words were eerily familiar. They were the same words I used to throw at her. How the tables have turned. She glared at me, her face a mask of anger. What did she want? And nothing, I stammered. Then, an idea struck me. This was the perfect excuse to warn her. Actually, I corrected myself. She came to ask me to help her steal your confidential files so she can take you down. Anna stared at me, her gaze deep. And did you agree? Of course. Her eyes flashed, and her face visibly darkened. Don't be angry, I said quickly. I'm telling you, aren't I? So you should keep a close eye on your company's important documents. Someone's after the empire you worked so hard to build. Anna sneered. She could try to take what's mine. We'll see if she has what it takes. Oh no, she was really mad now. Just as I was bracing myself for some new form of torture, she got up, dressed, and left. I let out a huge breath. My words might have angered her, but at least I'd successfully warned her. Around 3 a.m., I was woken by the frantic ringing of my phone. I groggily answered it, and my mother's sobbing filled my ear. Landon, you have to get to the hospital. Your father, he's been badly injured. It's serious. The words shocked me fully awake. I shot out of bed like a bullet. There were 2 cars parked in the driveway, but I didn't have the keys. Should I ask Anna? But I had just made her furious. Would she help me? Not counting on it. I started running for the main road. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the night. Where do you think you're going this late? My heart leaped. I spun around and ran to her. Anna, my dad's in the ER. Can I please borrow your car? My voice trembled with panic. Anna looked at me for a long moment, then grabbed my arm and pulled me toward her car. I watched in surprise as she started the engine. I can go by myself, I said. You can go back to sleep. It's no trouble to give you a ride, she replied, her voice neutral. I turned to look out the window, my heart pounding with worry for my dad. At the hospital, he was still in surgery. My mom tearfully explained that he had been mocked by some of our old friends, lost his temper, and in the ensuing argument, had fallen down a flight of stairs. Those bastards, my brother seethed. When our family gets back on its feet, I'll make them pay. My mom wiped her tears. We don't know how your father is, and the doctors keep asking for money for the surgery. I don't know what to do. Before I could say anything, Anna had quietly gone to the front desk to pay the bill. My mom watched her go, her voice thick with emotion. She's such a good wife. Even after making it big, she hasn't abandoned us. Landon, you have to treat her better from now on. You can't bully her like you used to. I pressed my lips together, my feelings a tangled mess. While we waited, Anna thoughtfully brought my mother a cup of warm water, comforted her, and promised to cover all the subsequent medical expenses. My mom was moved to tears, praising her endlessly. I found Anna in the waiting area, sipping coffee. I walked over to her. Tonight, I said sincerely, thank you. Anna just looked at me. Her gaze was always so calm, impossible to read. After a long pause, she said, I don't need your thanks. Then what do you need? I asked automatically. Tell me. She was about to speak when the doors to the operating room swung open, and my mother called out. My dad's condition was my priority. I didn't wait for her answer and rushed over. The doctor told us the surgery was a success, but Dad would need to be in the ICU for a few days for observation. If there were no complications, he could be moved to a regular room. We all breathed a collective sigh of relief. On the way back, Anna didn't take me straight home. Instead, she drove to a bar. What are we doing here? I asked, confused. She handed me a cocktail to help you relax. I took a few sips and put the glass down, wary of getting drunk. She saw through me. Go on, drink. If you get drunk, I'm here. I just smiled. She seemed to have forgotten that the last time I got drunk, she slept with me. I had sworn to myself after that night that I would never get drunk in public again. I shook my head and pushed the glass away. She didn't press the issue, instead pulling me onto the dance floor. To be honest, the tension from the hospital had been suffocating. A little distraction at the bar did help me unwind. After that, Anna took me to a late-night street market. She bought a bunch of grilled skewers from a food truck. You eat this kind of junk food? I asked, surprised. She just smiled and handed me the skewers. I didn't know if she liked them, but I certainly did. I took them without ceremony and started devouring them. She was driving, so she couldn't drink, but I ordered a couple of beers. While I ate and drank, she just watched me. Her gaze was surprisingly gentle, and for a dizzying moment, I wondered if she was mistaking me for Julian. In our 3 years of marriage, she had never looked at me with such tenderness. I looked away, mumbling, "What are you staring at? Am I that entertaining?" She chuckled softly and turned her gaze elsewhere, taking small, hesitant bites of her own skewer. I glanced at her. I had a feeling she didn't actually like this kind of food. Julian probably did. After we finished, Anna led me on a walk along the nearby river. It was late, but the area around the market was still bustling with people. We walked side by side in silence. I had no idea what had prompted this sudden urge to take me to a bar, a night market, and for a walk by the river. Whether she was using me as a substitute for Julian or not, I had to admit the outing had genuinely lifted my spirits. And her handling of the situation with my dad, she had been incredible, beyond gratitude. I felt something else growing. I was starting to like her more and more. This was bad. If I kept falling for her, I was done for. As I was lost in thought, someone ran past and bumped into me. I stumbled forward, and a voice called out, "Careful," as she steadied me. I looked down and met Anna's liquid eyes. My heart jumped. We stared at each other for what felt like an eternity, my pulse hammering in my ears. Slowly, she rose on her toes and leaned in. Just as her lips were about to touch mine, her phone rang. I saw the name on the screen, Julian. The spell was broken. My racing heart slowed to a dull thud. There I went again, forgetting my place. The person she loved was Julian. If I were still her husband, I might have had the right to fight for her. But I was nothing. She had personally taken that title from me and given it to the man she loved. I needed to guard my heart. If I didn't, I would be heading for a world of pain. "We're fine," Anna said softly into the phone. "Just a small thing. You go to sleep." After she hung up, I said, "Let's go back." Anna frowned slightly. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," I said, shaking my head. "You should get back to Julian. He must be worried not seeing you this late." Her frown deepened, and a flicker of anger crossed her face. I looked away, my voice firm. "Anna, I know I was terrible to you in the past. You have every right to hate me. But keeping me by your side like this isn't good for anyone. Let me go. Let's cancel our lover's agreement. I'll consider the money alone. I promise, for the rest of my life, I'll work to pay you back." I had to get out before I was hopelessly in love with her. But my words only made her face grow darker until it looked like a thundercloud ready to burst. "You want to leave?" she said, her voice dangerously low. "You want to go be with Chloe?" I didn't know why she brought Chloe into it again, but to provoke her into finally kicking me out, I leaned into it. "Yes, I love her. I want to be with her. As for your money, as long as I'm alive, I will pay you back every cent." Anna stared at me, her eyes as cold and sharp as shards of ice. I had never known she could be this terrifying. I instinctively took a step back, but she didn't do anything. She didn't even yell at me. She just turned silently and walked back to the car. I couldn't decipher her silence. Was she letting me go, or something else? The ride home was silent. I didn't dare speak. When we got back to the mansion, I got out of the car, and she immediately drove away, disappearing into the night. I stood there, staring after the car, completely lost. What was she so angry about? I said I would pay her back. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind was consumed with thoughts of Anna. I knew with absolute certainty that if I didn't leave now, I would be completely lost to her. For 5 straight days, Anna didn't come back. I didn't know if she was still angry with me. And for 5 straight days, my mood sank lower and lower. The only good news was a call from my mom, telling me my dad was out of danger and just needed time to recover. On the phone, she once again sang Anna's praises, telling me how Anna had sent over countless nutritional supplements and had arranged for my dad to have a private VIP room, with all expenses paid. As I listened, tears welled up in my eyes. That woman, she was actually a good person. I wanted to thank her properly, but she was gone. One evening, I saw Julian in the garden, smoking and sighing. I couldn't help but ask what was wrong. He told me he and Anna had had a fight. After their argument, she had left on a business trip. A bitter laugh escaped me. And here I was, thinking she had been avoiding the house because she was angry at me. It was because of Julian all along. Of course, he was the one she loved. What was I? Pushing down the sour feeling in my chest, I tried to comfort him. "You two love each other. Why would you fight? Anna is a really good person, you know." Julian sighed. "I know she's good, and I know how she feels about me. But Chloe keeps threatening me, pushing me. I just don't know what to do anymore." "So you fought because of Chloe?" I asked. Julian nodded. "Anna told me to stop seeing Chloe, but she has something on me. What am I supposed to do?" I understood then. The biggest problem between Anna and Julian was Chloe. If I could remove that threat, they could be happy. If that was the case, then maybe I could do one last good thing for Anna before I left for good. "Don't worry," I told Julian. The video. I'll get it back for you. Julian was taken aback. But to get it, you'll have to trade one of Anna's confidential company files. Then I'll steal a file for her. Julian looked at me with that same strange expression. Why are you suddenly willing to help me? I smiled. Because Anna is a good woman. I want her to be happy. Julian's lips thinned, and a complex, unreadable emotion flickered across his face. The next day, I arranged to meet Chloe at a coffee shop. As I arrived, I thought I saw Anna for a fleeting moment. But when I looked again, it was just a stranger. I couldn't help but laugh at myself. How much did I miss her to be having hallucinations? Landon, Chloe's voice came from behind me. I took a breath, composed myself, and turned to her with a smile. I told her I hated Anna, that I wanted to be with her, and that I was willing to help her steal Anna's corporate secrets. The only condition was that she cut off all contact with Julian. Chloe was ecstatic, promising immediately that she would never see Julian again. When I got home, I found Anna in my room. A jolt of joy went through me. "You're back," I said instinctively. But her face was still cold, her eyes like ice. I figured she and Julian were still fighting, so it was natural for her to be in a bad mood. I suppressed my own feelings and tried to mediate. "You know, Julian really loves you. Whatever misunderstanding you two have, as long as you..." MMPH. Before I could finish, she pulled me into a fierce, crushing kiss. In the next moment, I was on the bed, pinned beneath her. I grabbed her shoulders, angry. "Look at me. I'm not Julian. Don't take your frustrations out on me." "Shut up," she roared. Her shout stunned me into silence. In all the time I'd known her, even when I was at my worst, she had never yelled at me. Now that she was successful, she was different. She didn't have to be afraid of me anymore. I was just a toy for her amusement. Who would ever be gentle with a toy? That familiar, dense ache spread through my chest again. I looked down, closed my mouth, and said nothing more. She stared at me for a long time before she started kissing me again, tearing at my clothes. Her movements were urgent and desperate, fueled by a raw, vengeful energy. I felt a pang of regret. If only I had been better to her in the past. If I had been kinder, would she have fallen in love with me? We were tangled together until late into the night. As I was about to drift off to sleep, exhausted, she leaned close to my ear, her voice a furious whisper. "You want to help Chloe steal my files? Too bad. You'll never guess that my safe combination is your birthday." I was half asleep, but her words shocked me wide awake. What? Her safe combination was my birthday. Of course. Everyone knew she hated me. No one would ever suspect she'd use my birthday for something so important. A person with a mind that deep always thinks of the unexpected. The next day, I woke up late again. Anna was already gone. Julian was drinking tea alone in the garden. When he saw me, his expression was indescribably complex. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Did Chloe bother you again?" Julian shook his head. "Landon, are you really going to help me?" I nodded. "I don't want to see Anna unhappy. You two can only be happy if this problem is solved. Don't worry, Mr. Thorne. I'll get that video back for you today." Julian's lips moved as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he remained silent. I went to Anna's study. It used to be my family study. Not much had changed, except for her computer on the desk and a new safe underneath it. I knelt in front of the safe and typed in my birthday. With a soft click, it opened. I took out a random file and then turned on her computer. The woman was surprisingly careless. It wasn't password protected. Once I had what I needed, I went to find Chloe. Hearing that I had successfully stolen the file, Chloe was already waiting for me at her sleek, modern condo. She had even prepared wine and food, ready to celebrate. The moment I walked in, she threw her arms around me. "Landon, I knew you could do it. Once I take down Anna, everything she has will be mine. Then, I promise, I will spoil you and make you the happiest man in the world." Watching her, her gentle and kind image from the past completely shattered. I couldn't believe I had ever been attracted to this woman. She wasn't worth a fraction of Anna. Chloe eagerly pulled me to the sofa, demanding the file. I clutched the briefcase. "I'll give you the file, but you have to give me the video of you and Julian." Chloe frowned. "What video? What are you talking about? Stop pretending." I snapped. "You slept with him when he was drunk and filmed it to blackmail him. I had no idea you were so disgusting." Chloe laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Landon, where did you hear that? Julian was the one who was obsessed with me, chasing me. I wasn't interested, but then I found out Anna liked him and had taken him in. So I let him sleep with me, just to string him along so he'd help me get these files. But you're different, Landon. I really do love you. Enough. My head was spinning. Who was lying? I looked at Chloe coldly. I said, if you want the file, give me the video. Chloe looked exasperated. Landon, how many times do I have to tell you? There is no video. If I had one, I'd give it to you. Julian is useless to me now. What would I do with a video of him? I considered her words. She had a point. The file was right here. If she really had the video, there was no reason to hold on to it, which meant Julian had been lying. If, as she claimed, Julian was the one in love with her, was it possible he was using me to help her steal the files? The more I thought about it, the more I felt something was wrong. I had to go talk to Julian and get the truth. I stood up. I hid the file somewhere else. I'll go get it for you. Wait. I had only taken a few steps when Chloe lunged forward and snatched the briefcase from my hand. I ignored her and walked faster toward the door. Landon Pierce, she yelled. I frowned and kept walking, but she was surprisingly strong, and she managed to drag me back to the sofa. You faked this file to trick me, she shrieked, her face contorted in a crazed rage. You lied to me. You never intended to be with me. You never wanted to help me against Anna, did you? She was right. I had doctored the file. Only the first page was real. The rest was garbage. Anna got to where she is today because she earned it. I sneered. If you're so jealous, why don't you try working for it yourself instead of trying to steal what's hers? Chloe's eyes turned a frightening shade of red. You love her. She's an amazing person. Why wouldn't I love her? Chloe, I was wrong about you. If you have any decency left, you'll earn what you want instead of using these pathetic, underhanded schemes. I tried to leave again, but she tackled me onto the sofa, her eyes wild. Anna just got lucky, she screamed like a lunatic. How can she compare to me? Landon, you used to love me. How could you change your mind? I'm better than her, Landon. I really am. You'll see if you just try me. I'm so much better. She started frantically tearing at my clothes. Panicked, I fumbled for the ashtray on the coffee table and slammed it against her head. She slumped over, unconscious. I pushed her off me. Looking at her still beautiful face, I sighed. Such a pretty face, and such an ugly soul. As I was about to leave, Julian appeared in the doorway. The sight of him filled me with anger. You never had a video, I said coldly. You've been lying to me, using me this whole time. Julian smiled faintly. Instead of yelling at me, you should probably go after Anna. She's gone. My heart sank. What do you mean she's gone? You really don't understand anything, do you? You're so naive, Julian sighed. Anna thinks you love Chloe, that you want to be with her. So she's stepping aside. She's left the city. She even told you her safe combination on purpose. I stared at him, incredulous. How can that be? She loves you. She divorced me for you. Julian burst out laughing. I'm not that lucky. The only reason she asked for a divorce was to test you, but you signed the papers without a second thought. And me, I was just an actor she hired to provoke you. I only agreed to it to test Chloe, but it turns out Chloe really doesn't love me. Not one bit. He looked at the unconscious Chloe, his smile filled with a tragic sadness. Landon, I really envy you. To be loved so deeply by such an incredible woman. Did you know, she bought that mansion in your name? And most of her company's shares are in your name too. Everything she's done for you. Listening to Julian, I was too stunned to speak. The 3 years of our marriage, I knew how terribly I had treated her. I could never have imagined she would love me. Julian walked over to Chloe, stroking her face. Landon, he murmured, I really do envy you. You don't have to, I told him. If you just love the right person, you can be happy too. If you just love the right person. Julian repeated softly. Then he smiled at me. You should hurry. If you go to the airport now, you might still be able to catch her. A wave of panic washed over me. Thank you for telling me all this, I said, already running for the door. A faint sigh followed me. Don't think a bad guy like me. I only told you because you and Anna were both far too good to me. I finally understood. The reason Julian's eyes never held any jealousy or hatred was because he was in love with Chloe all along. And Anna, that foolish woman, if she loved me, why didn't she just say so? Tears streamed down my face as I urged the Uber driver to go faster. I frantically dialed Anna's number, but a recorded message told me it was no longer in service. She was really planning on leaving for good. I called Julian, asking where she had gone. He said he didn't know, only that she wasn't coming back. My heart pounded with desperation. I prayed I wasn't too late. But when I got to the airport, she was already gone. I collapsed on the floor of the terminal, sobbing her name like a madman. People stared at me like I was a freak, but I didn't care. All I knew was that Anna was gone, and I might never see her again. The pain in my chest was so intense, it was hard to breathe. I sat there on the floor for a long, long time before I finally, numbly, walked out of the airport. I don't know how I got home. I locked myself in my room. My world had turned to gray. I buried myself under the covers and cried, not knowing what to do. Anna, please come back. I'll never be mean to you again. I'll never bully you again. I'll love you with everything I have. Please just come back. I bit my own hand, repeating her name over and over into the silent room. There was no answer. I cried myself into a stupor. Sometime in the middle of the night, I felt someone wrap their arms around me from behind. The familiar warmth sent a jolt through me. I shot my eyes open, whipped around, and saw her. Was this a dream? I didn't care. I threw my arms around her and clung to her, crying like a child. I thought you were gone. Anna was clearly taken aback. After a moment, she pushed me away, her gaze cold. Why are you so upset? Did Chloe dump you? I shook my head frantically and hugged her again, tighter this time. They said you were gone, that you were never coming back. I was planning to leave, Anna said. Forever. But when I got to that new city, I couldn't accept it. I couldn't just let you and Chloe have your happy ending so easily. I hugged her even tighter, rolling on top of her. I was crying and laughing at the same time. You foolish woman. You were right to be stubborn. I kissed her deeply and passionately. My technique was clumsy and awful. I was the one who initiated it, but by the end, she was the one who left me breathless. When I finally pulled back, I saw that the coolness in her eyes had melted away, replaced by the warmth of spring sun. That night, she showed me a tenderness I had never known. I finally learned that she could be this gentle, this passionate. Please, don't let this be a dream. I woke with a start, my eyes darting to the space beside me. Anna was there, watching me. I let out a breath of relief and pulled her into a tight hug. She looked at me with a hint of surprise. Landon, you... I know everything. Anna's body tensed. I held her closer, my voice muffled against her. Julian told me everything. You foolish woman, if you love me, why didn't you just say so? Anna bit her lip, looking at me. After a long moment, she said, I was afraid you would laugh at me. How could I? Do you remember in high school, to survive in that house, I intentionally acted out, got terrible grades. A classmate told you I was pretty and asked if you'd ever like someone like me. You said only an idiot would like trash like me. I didn't remember that at all. I never said that, did I? I argued. You did. Her beautiful face was flushed with anger and hurt. I remember it perfectly. You even glanced at me, and your eyes were full of disgust. I hugged her tighter and whispered, I'm sorry. Later, she continued, I got my act together, my grades improved, but you still never looked at me. Your eyes were always following Chloe. So you liked me even back then? I asked, finding it hard to believe. She nodded. I'm a coward, she said. I like someone, but I'm too scared to say it, too afraid of seeing that look of mockery and ridicule in their eyes. But I'm also a bad person, a very selfish person. I couldn't stand seeing you with Chloe. That's why I did what I did at the reunion and made sure everyone knew about it. I thought if we got married, you would be mine, that one day you would learn to love me, but there are no buts. I love you, I said urgently. Anna, I'm telling you right now, clearly, I am in love with you. Her body went rigid again, and her eyes suddenly dimmed. Gratitude isn't love, Landon. You need to know the difference. I know the difference. In our 3rd year of marriage, I was already falling for you. But then you fool, you asked for a divorce. You have no idea how heartbroken I was. My own eyes started to well up with remembered pain. Anna quickly pulled me into a hug, her voice a mix of shock and joy. Are you telling the truth? Even this cool, composed woman's voice trembled as she asked. I nodded frantically. I love you. Only you. Now and forever. Anna finally smiled, a brilliant, radiant smile like a sunbeam in March. So this was what she looked like when she was truly happy. I held her tight, so grateful for her stubbornness. If she had really left without a word, what would I have done? So, If you love someone, tell them. Be brave. No matter the outcome, at least you won't have to live with the regret of what might have been. At least you won't miss your chance. May everyone who finds true love have the courage to chase it, and may everyone in the world find their own happiness.